Chapter 1. Dennis, where are you at spiritually? I was at the end of the table, my usual place. Matt sat across from me. We had known each other for over a year, but had hardly shared a word together. He didn't care for me much, and for good reason. I had recently done time in prison. I had a history of addiction. I had cooked and sold meth. I had been classified as a violent criminal. And I was dating Matt's sister-in-law, Patty. I was in my 50s and 19 years older than she was. Of course he was suspicious. The whole family had concerns about me. Any family would. I understand it now, but it bothered me in the moment. I could feel the way they looked at me. I could tell what they were thinking, and I resented it. It didn't help that her whole family was very religious, which I considered childish. I had spent years in the world of addiction and prison. I'd seen too much to believe there was a God. Still, Patty and I had a son together, so I went to her family functions. I'd sit quietly at the edge of the group and focus on my food. Afterward, I'd complain to Patty on the ride home. These Christians, they don't even know me, but they're judging me. I dragged my feet to every get-together, but it was at one of these meals that everything changed. We went to a restaurant to celebrate something. I didn't care what. I was there to do my duty as boyfriend and father, and nothing more. I greeted Patty's sisters and parents, then sat next to Caden, my toddler son. I focused on him and did my best to ignore the family's laughter and joyful conversation. I ate my burger and tried to keep Caden from fussing too much. As I finished my fries, I checked my watch to calculate how much time we had left. I was about to give Patty the look, let her know with my eyes it was time to go home. But I sensed something strange. Matt was staring at me. "Dennis," he said. I looked up. He leaned in the table, and without any warning, he asked me that question. Where was I, spiritually? It was an intimate thing to ask a man who was wiping ketchup from his fingers. My first response was anger. You never talked to me all this time, and that's what you say? I wanted to give him a zinger and went through several within a matter of seconds. They all pretty much came down to, don't you know who I am? Don't you know what I've done to people? I opened my mouth, but before I could say anything, I heard a voice. Be honest. I've done a lot of drugs in my life, but I've never heard any kind of voice in my head before. It sounded real. I didn't know where it came from, but I had to close my mouth. I listened for a moment. This all lasted 2 or 3 seconds, but it had gone quiet. I shrugged and went back to my zingers. But as I leaned forward to stare Matt down, the voice spoke again. This time it sounded angry. Dennis, for once in your life, be honest. My heart thumped painfully in my chest. I fought a quiet battle against my better judgment. Everything I'd learned from prison and the world of drugs screamed at me to shut up. But I decided for once to ignore it. Through all this, Matt sat watching me with compassion. He looked ready to listen to whatever I was going to say. I leaned back and shook my head. I didn't know what was coming next, but it terrified me. After decades of lies, I finally spoke the truth. Matt, I said, I've been living in hell my whole life. I hope when I die, it's better than this.